Hello Ratbags, it's Jade Plays Games, back again with another Ark Survival Evolved tutorial video. The cloning chamber has been added to the game. Is the cloning chamber actually any good? Will you be using it? I highly doubt it, unless you're mucking around in single player or non-dedicated or on a dedicated world. The amount of effort it's going to take to unlock one of these bad boys on official and then actually utilise it properly really is pushing the limits of what hardcore gaming is. So let me know if you're aiming for this on an official server. After my little tutorial, you may make up your mind about whether or not it's going to be worth it. I'm going to give you that complete rundown on everything to do with cloning. How much it costs, what you're going to need, how it works out, what's going to happen to your creatures. So let's do it, let's become some mad scientists and clone. So I've got a selection of my creatures that I did from my last tame videos. I've painted them blue just to make them highlighted a little bit better so you can see the actual clone in action. I'm going to go through every single stage. So straight off you're going to need the cloning chamber. Now I'm going to put all the codes in the description so you can go check it out for yourself. They are long codes, so if you haven't got the ability to type it in, either using a keyboard on a PS4 or the smart glass on Xbox One, you will be doing this a long time. I suggest you actually spawn in a generator and then spawn in the individual components because they'll be easier to spawn in. I've shown you guys how to do that before, so go and check out my other tech tutorials. It's honestly, if you can't be bothered typing in the big long codes, you're better off getting a generator and a replicator and doing it that way. As well as the cloning chamber, you're going to need an actual generator. Now I've sunk my generator into the cloning chamber here because I don't want to waste any element. The bigger you have the actual field, so you can increase its radius, the more element it uses. And we don't want that. I want to utilise as much of this as I can. And you can see that's the limit of the actual field there. If your cloning chamber is not placed close enough to the generator, it will say insufficient power. Right, I'm going to turn the HUD back on just to show you guys exactly what's going on. So you can only get the cloning chamber by defeating the dragon on hard. Now you can defeat the dragon on hard on the centre or the island, it doesn't matter, it will give you the cloning chamber. And if you don't know, then a generator can be unlocked by defeating a medium Megapithecus. You obviously get element from all boss fights. The harder the boss fight, the more element you're going to get. If you're spawning in the element, you can only spawn in multiples of 10. So don't bother trying to type in 100 in the spawn code. So you're going to need element to power your generator. But the actual cloning chamber uses element shards. You're going to need a tech replicator to break down one piece of element into a shard. One element equals 100 shards. You are going to need thousands of these. Now when you spawn in element shards, and there is a code for it, you can actually change the number and you can spawn in 1,000 at a time. You can spawn in up to 48,000 element shards in. 48,000! Why are you going to need 48,000? If you've been super breeding for months and months and you've managed to get some of your creatures up to like level 420, 450, that's the max. You're going to need upwards of 480 element. Because when you break all that element down, it will equal the amount of shards you need. So it is possible to clone really high level creatures. So I tried doing this tutorial the other day, but I was a bit pushed for time. I wanted to experiment though, and I thought it'd be fun to actually try and clone something like an alpha boss. So I've got the alpha Megapithecus behind me. It's only level 52, so I thought it would work. I thought it would do the job. Obviously not. It didn't matter how many shards I had. It just would not clone. When you go up to it and highlight it and do the action for the cloning, it just wouldn't do it. So I was a bit disappointed. I really thought it'd be fun if we could actually do that. But let me know guys if you find anything interesting. Can you clone anything different? Is there anything else you could try? Maybe it didn't work on an alpha, but maybe I'll be able to clone a normal Megapithecus. Things like that. Let me know if you experiment and do anything with it. It'd be interesting to see what actually happens. It was a real shame. I got really excited. I thought it'd be a really cool video. But you can see here, it just didn't have any options to actually clone the actual monkey. So after seeing my fail with the alpha Megapithecus, what other creatures can you clone? And how does it all work? What kind of levels you're going to get? I've got my little Pooh Bear here. Now he's 230. So while looking at your tech cloning chamber, hold the triangle or Y button and press clone. You'll have two options once you've done that, back or clone the dire bear. But you can see there it's going to cost 26,300 shards. It is incredibly expensive, and this is why I think no one's going to really bother with this. You can get 300 element by defeating the dragon on hard. Pretty much to clone even just like one creature, you may have to face off against the dragon a couple of times. But let's do it, I'm going to show you how to. Once you've highlighted it, press it and you should see it starts pulsing. Now once it starts pulsing, you've got a few things you can do. You can actually take the creature off, you don't need to keep him there. And just to prove it, I'm going to jump on him and we're going to walk off. He is now done. You don't have to keep that creature near the teleporter at all. When you look at your cloning chamber, you'll see it will give you exact time of how long it's going to take. Now this is the other thing that makes me think no one's going to do it. So I went and back and did a scorpion after the Megapithecus and it was fine, everything was good and dandy. 5 hours 37 though to clone a level 13 scorpion. That is a crazy amount of time. Not even like a massive leveled scorpion. 5 hours 37 minutes for that type of creature. It's going to take 5 hours to clone on official servers. Now I've obviously cheated, I've done it my way where I know some tricks. I'm going to be showing you them in a minute. So I've massively speeded this up. But even though I've speeded it up, it's still going to take an hour to clone this one creature. And trust me, I've sped it up a lot. So let's go into the settings. I'm going to show you exactly what I've done. We're going to try and speed it up even further. So after doing lots of research, a lot of things were telling me that you needed to make sure mating interval was a really low number. In fact, if you have mating interval too high, it will take longer. And also to have the egg hatch speed and the baby mature speed really high. So you can see I've got it on 50, and for the dire bear there just a minute ago, it's still going to take an hour. I can boost these up and it will make it a little bit better, but you really need to think bigger. You don't actually need the mating interval and you don't actually need the egg hatch speed. They can be just what they normally are. The one you really want is the baby mature speed. So I tried all three combinations. I tried making the mating interval really low and the other two normal. I tried egg hatch speed really high and the other two normal. And eventually I discovered it is definitely the baby mature speed you need to be super stupidly high. Another thing I discovered is if you try changing any of these speeds while you've got a clone in progress, it won't actually work. It won't affect what's actually happening. So you'll have to stop the cloning process, then change the settings if you've made a mistake. Now if you also get the glitch that I've got where it's disappeared and you can't access the actual inventory, go ahead and demolish it and it should hopefully fix it. But obviously you're going to need to make that actual cloning chamber again. Whenever you're mucking around with stuff like this and you're changing lots of the settings, be careful. If you leave your world and come back to it, and you've changed it or done something, either put it on non-dedicated or single player, sometimes you won't be able to access any of your actual inventory from your structures. Quickest way to fix this is do the command give engram. Once you've done that, you'll be able to access. So, we've got our generator again, we've got our cloning chamber. And I've just had to increase the range because even though I've got the generator right next to the cloning chamber, it's still said underpowered. That's why I think you should try and put the generator right underneath it or on top of the actual generator, the cloning chamber. So let's put the bear back actually on the chamber. So we're going to clone it now again. And you can see now we've reduced the time to 30 minutes. Once you've started cloning as well, you can go offline on official servers and it will still carry on. You don't have to be present and you don't have to be there when it's done. Let's turn it off and see if it stops the actual cloning process. And there you go, it has. If we turn it back on, there you go, it does reset. So if the power cuts off, you're going to have to do it again. And you will lose your actual 23,000, whatever it was, shards. So this time I'm going to put it on 1,000. That's baby maturing speed. You can see I've reset egg hatch speed to something more or less normal, and the mating interval I'm going to put as normal as well. Do this and it should actually increase the cloning time. So activating power once again, holding the Y button, clone, clone, and there you go. That looks like it's the magic number. So it's the baby mature speed that you actually want. By putting it up to 1,000, we are going to have this bear ready in 3 minutes. So I'm going to leave him on there because I want to see what happens when it pops up. I imagine it's going to be like right next to him. So let's move him over a little bit. Oh no, I can't move him because he's too heavy. So would you be if you had over 200 generators in your inventory, bless him. So a few other key points. If you neutered your creature before putting it on the cloning chamber, whatever creature comes out will also be neutered. So if you're thinking of breeding some really high level creatures, but maybe for some reason you went and neutered one of them, be warned, they will come out neutered. The higher the level, the higher the cost. As you saw there, it's cost 26,000, and this is a level 230 dire bear. And there you go, look, it's popped up already. Whatever level you put it on when you actually tamed it or actually raised it from a baby, that is the level the creature will come out. So to prove that point, I've got a level 241 now because I've just leveled him up. Let's put him back in the cloning chamber. But before I do that, I want to show you something as well. You can see he's not got any XP, so you're going to have to level him up just like you would a newborn. If you take a look at the ancestral line, it does say at the bottom there, dire bear clone, level 225. So that's a really cool touch. Now you can see it says 241. Let's see if it actually turns out as 241. Everything I researched said it wouldn't. It would come out as 225. It's whatever you actually tamed it at or hatched it at, that's what level you'll get. Well, looks like we're going to be cloning some poo too. Oh, and there we go, another one's popped out. And you can see he is 225. That is the level that I spawned the creature in, or tamed it, or hatched it, rather than whatever level you've actually bumped it up by. So there you go, that is the bears, and that is pretty much it. Key points to remember. Whatever the creature was when you hatched it or tamed it, that's the creature you're going to get. You won't get any additional XP or imprinting buffs. So if you were hoping that maybe baby imprinting would boost it a little bit, it won't. You'll still get a basic animal. You have to level up its XP again. But this does mean that you can specialise. So say you put all of this into health and weight. Maybe you put all this into melee. And you do your third one, put it into speed. 1 element equals 100 element shards. So before we go, I just want us to clone some more creatures and see what happens, and just get a general feel and really hammer home what to do. Let's see what he's going to take to clone. So 25,200 shards. So to clone this one, you're going to need at least 250 element, and that will break down into 25,000 element shards. Not only is it based on a dino level, it's also based on a dino class. Right, let's clone this one up. And this one's going to take just under 3 minutes. Right, here we go. And there you go, level 225. So what happens when you do a really low level creature, level 54, and it's going to cost, wait for it guys, wait for it, 7,000 shards. That is a crazy amount for such a low level creature. But let's give it a go and see what happens. So that means you're going to need 70 element just to do a low level one. Now because he's so low level and because he's a different type of dinosaur, it's only going to take 40 seconds based on the settings that I've already done. And as you saw from the Scorpion earlier, if you don't change them settings, if you're doing this on an official server, it is going to take you hours just to do a very basic creature. I've got reports of people trying this on official servers or servers that don't have boosted stats. And it can take up to 4 days to do a high level creature. So pretty much the exact same time it takes to actually raise one or tame a really high level creature. And there we go. And you can see he's actually level 52. I must have leveled this guy up by a couple of points. So I'm not going to clone this one because I've run out of the actual shards. I just wanted to show you exactly how much more it's going to be for something that's larger. So it's not actually based on weight. It doesn't matter how big or heavy the creature is. It is about its class and it is about, you know, what level it is. That's what's going to make it more expensive to clone. So that's going to be around 260 element. So tech cloning, is it worth it? Hell no. Unless you're on single player and you're just mucking around, then yeah, it can be something good and fun to do. And if you're on an official server, and I guess if you've been an alpha tribe for a long time, or you've been playing PvE and you've just done everything there is to do and you've got it down that you can take out the bosses whenever you want really quickly, which I know some people can do, it's still going to cost so much. Roughly speaking, for creatures that haven't been super bred, just a really high level dinosaur, you're going to need to defeat the hard dragon just to unlock the cloning chamber. Then it will give you 300 element, but some of the element's going to be needed to power the generator, and then you convert the rest of it into shards. So you could say that for every hard dragon you defeat, you can basically clone one creature. But then you've got to take into account the amount of time it's going to take. And if you're on a PvP server, will you be protected? As you saw, as long as the power's there, it's okay. You don't need to be around. You can even take the creature off. But if the power gets turned off, it will stop the cloning process. So again, that's even more element to keep the power generator running. Particularly if it takes 3 or 4 days for a high level creature. If you are doing it the cheaty way, like I just showed you, remember you need the generator, the cloning chamber, element and element shards. I'll leave all of them codes in the description down below. Also remember to do the give engram commands so that you can actually use the tech tier items if you haven't already unlocked them. And the only setting you really need to worry about and make sure works is the baby mature speed multiplier. I've got it on 1000 and you can see there I was cloning creatures really super quickly. But before that, when I had it at 500, it still took half an hour. And when I had it at 100, it still took an hour. I've worked super hard on this, guys. I spent ages researching it. So make sure you hit that button up with a like. Send me some screenshots of your actual clone creatures and I'll put them up on my Twitter account. I'm Jade Plays Games. This has been an art tutorial and I'll see you for the next one soon. Bye bye. Well, already we might have run into one slight problem. You can see my cloning chamber has actually just disappeared. But it's still there. We're going to carry on with the tutorial because I'm not doing this again.